Hi and welcome to SA Rugby and our take on the All Blacks versus the Springboks this weekend. I got Mark Keohane. Mark, welcome.
Thanks.
And Zelim now. Z, how you doing, man?
Good.
Before we begin, let's look. The New Zealand team was announced today, and what do you make of it, Mark? I mean, this is a two-part question. What do you make of the team, and how many of those All Blacks would you put into a World 15 or 23?
I'd probably put two into a World 23. Maybe not a World 23, into a Springbok 23. It would be Ardie Savea and Will Jordan. I think they really are struggling in terms of quality. They've made 9 changes from the side that lost the third test and lost the series. First time in 28 years they'd lost the series at home. Imposters assuming the backline responsibilities as well as being head coach. But I think there's a shift of dynamic there.
Well, one of the comments I read on YouTube, and I don't mind any comments, good or bad, but the person said that the forwards, we've got the forward battle, but they got the back battle. I hate to inform you, whoever said that, but without your forwards contributing ball, I don't care if Superman, Batman, Robin, and all the superheroes in the world are playing in the back line. Without front forward ball, they're nothing. And I would go as far to say as the backs, our backs are as good as the All Blacks back, except in halfback positions.
We spoke about this earlier, and if you just want to come in here, this looks like a Hurricane side that used to come to South African Super Rugby.
Yeah.
Great names, great backs, no pack.
Yeah, spot on. And I think that forward, the question marks around the physicality of this pack and how they're going to stand up to the Springboks, it looks to me like the All Blacks are trying to answer that by beefing up that back line. Caleb Clark adds a ton of weight out wide. They're going to try add a bit of muscle to the wide breakdown. But in a way, that is almost a concession against the All Blacks and for us, in the sense that whenever the All Blacks ever come here and had to radically alter the makeup of what they do and why they do it and their ethos, and muscling up for us just seems like a small victory already.
And that happened against England in the World Cup. Rather than backing themselves, they looked to pick players to counter England's abilities.
Exactly.
And I get the same feeling that they're playing off the back foot.
I'm not against those guys. I mean, I think we've been talking about Samasoni for months. I think he's fantastic. I think he is the All Blacks starting hooker for the future, and I think he's going to be great. It's the supporting cast you mentioned in the tight five is just not there. Scotty Barrett moving to lock is uninspiring. Ardie Savea carries that back row. And there's question marks around how David Avili is going to cope with the physicality of Jasper Wiese running at him, Damien Delendi running at him. It's going to be quite interesting to see there. Also, another great skillful player, but in the context of where the All Blacks are right now, I'm not really sure.
Well, Avili again, he played against Australia, was outstanding.
Yeah.
And the way Australia and New Zealand play, and it's like Harlem Globetrotter stuff. It's wonderful exhibition
Technical rugby, yeah.
The minute he came up against the Boks, he struggled in those 2 tests. He struggled badly when he went on the Northern Hemisphere tour, and eventually couldn't make the side for the last test against France, where they got pumped. So they do have problems at 12. They don't know what their mix is. So if you look at the success of the Crusaders, he is key to that. And Richie Mahanga troubles us more at 10 than a Bowden Barrett does in the way he plays the game.
And they also admit another Crusaders, and that's Scott Robertson. I mean, and he's pretty much sealed his fate. He's pretty much decided that he's going to go overseas and coach. And good for him. I mean, the way he's been treated is disgraceful.
Well, when I look at all the reaction that's come post the series, they fired their 2 forward coaches. The same coach as Foster said with his future. Yeah. So he's got that rod. They brought in the Crusaders coach, which Robertson had as his assistant coach in his pitch. So it's an admission. We got it all wrong, but we're not going to bring the main guy in because we don't want to. And we'll pad this because we have the insurance policy of a very experienced guy like Joe Smith, who can potentially be a director of rugby within that framework. There's been a reason that they won 6 Super Rugby titles in a row. That under Robinson they won 3 NPC titles domestic, and under Robinson they won an under-20 tournament, the New Zealanders. So it's like there's this divide between North and South, and they just don't want Robinson, and they're willing to actually make these sacrifices along the way. If you look at a lot of the island-style-based teams, the Blues, the Hurricanes, and the Chiefs to a degree, flamboyant and fantastic rugby players, but they never came here with packs, and they would invariably lose 42-28, 35-29 in a thrilling game. But our packs would suffocate them, and I think Saturday you're going to see more of that suffocation. And why try and play them in exhibition rugby? I read on social media this week, people say, let's make it a thrilling game. Let's make it a 38-32. Bullshit. Let's just, as John Smith used to say, we're anacondas. Let's pythons. Yeah. Let's just get them there, strangle them, and then let them start doing what they did against Ireland. playing their own 22, playing their own, like no man's land. They were playing all the rugby there, getting smashed in the tackle. And Johnny Sexton would just stick it in the corner, and there'd be a line out 10 metres from the New Zealand line.
And the way that they've picked this team, it almost looks like they're going to try and shoot their way out of trouble, because Mwanga and Aaron Smith is a combination that could potentially win the kicking duel against South Africa. Those guys are fantastic tactical players. You think like Bowden is a guy they're just hoping is going to create some magic and cut the box, and somehow there's going to be points that come from that.
Well, you go back to when they won 57-0 and 57-15.
You were there.
Yeah, I was here for the 57-15. Bowden Barrett could play the way he did because their pack was so dominant against us.
Yep.
Their conditioning was superior. They played this game at pace. I mean, they could have been 70 points in Durban. But you look at him now, he plays so laterally and kind of like all across the field. They hardly ever go forward. And if the Boks play pressure rugby, they play points rugby, like 3, 6, 9 becomes 12, and let the All Blacks start chasing the game. It should be a very comfortable afternoon for the Boks, showing the occasion the necessary respect, as we always say.
And this isn't arrogance. I mean, it's if I was to look at picking a World 15, I'd potentially have 7 to 8 Springboks in that team, and 2, possibly 3. There's an argument for Bowden Barrett, but his form hasn't been great over the recent weeks, so I don't know if I'd include him. So it's usually the opposite. When South Africa plays New Zealand, especially during the Richie McCaw and Dan Carter era, I mean, there were at least 8 All Blacks you'd put in a World 15.
I mean, we keep on looking at the discussion again. Social media is a good barometer of what the nutters are thinking out there, both in New Zealand and here. And it's like, well, we'll take France. They haven't played anyone. Wait till Ireland plays our rush defence. And then it's like, whoa, we've got to be scared of these New Zealanders who got smashed by France and got smashed by Ireland. So that goes back to the legacy of the jersey, the incredible whippings they've given us in the last 15 years. If we can't be expected to beat them, we are so shit scared as a public of being the favourites. Because with that comes expectation. And there has to be expectation on this side.
Agreed.
As world champions, as Lions Series winners, have had 3 good preparation tests against Wales, playing a New Zealand side that is in disarray, shambles, and have made 9 changes to their match 23. If we are not the favourites going to that game, we may as well not go on tour at the end of the year.
Precisely.
And then you shared an interesting fact with me, Mark, that the All Blacks have not been favoured. This is the 4th time in almost 400 games.
340 games.
340 games that they haven't been favoured. And every one of those was against South Africa, and every one of those they lost.
Yeah, since the New Zealand tab introduced odds, it was 1998 that was when they lost 5 in a row. And they came in, they were 23-5 up in Durban. They lost 24-23. As fate would have it, they were hammering us. Isatola Marker was their number 8. Robin Brook knocked him out accidentally in the 40th minute, and we took control of that game. And Bullet scored the famous try. That wasn't, but we won, and we won on attack at the end. And then 2009, 28-19 in Bloemfontein, 31-19 in Durban, where Morne Steyn scored 31 points and still missed a drop goal and managed to miss 2 other kicks. So it was very emphatic. And it was a New Zealand side that had the core of the side that went on to win the World Cup in 2011. There was no Dan Carter here. But we were comfortably in control of both those games, and I expect the similarities are the same. World Cup winners, Lions Series winners, and a New Zealand side that's struggling. We should comfortably be in charge. Again, if we respect the occasion, I'm sure we will respect the occasion, but don't overly respect the jersey, because of the guys who are wearing them haven't earned the right to be that respected.
I mean, what are we talking about respect the occasion, though? These guys put 57 points on us. I mean, they didn't stop scoring because respect the occasion.
No, when I say respect the occasion, respect it's a test match against New Zealand.
Sure.
But don't now, I've heard this thing, they're going to throw the kitchen sinkers out. Let's wait. Like, no, go out and smash them first.
Precisely.
You know what was interesting about that Ireland 3rd test in the build-up to it? When Ireland won the 2nd test, they said, we've come here to win the series. No one spoke about a wounded All Black in that week. No one spoke, they just spoke about themselves. We're confident, we're good enough, and if we play to our systems and things happen for us, we feel we can win. It was New Zealand saying they're wounded, they're coming back, this is do or die game.
Mark, they're not wounded, they're just not good enough.
I agree totally, they're not good enough. And when Sam Cane comes out, tells the media, there's not really much to fix. It's just the small things. Well, firstly, there's 9 out of 23 gone from your side, so there was something to fix. It's like when Rudolf Strohle used to pick the Boks team, and then he would read it out. in our box selection. That has to count for something.
Spot on.
And at home, and I mean, I thought we were poor in the first 40 minutes against Wales. Came back well to beat a Wales side that was leading us 18-3. And then I look at our bench again, and this is the defining factor. I looked at that New Zealand bench. I can't see them coming on to break open a game with 25 to play, but I do see our bench coming on and just solidifying a strong first 50-minute performance.
Yeah, and to all those trolls, if we get it wrong, we do. It happens. And congratulations to New Zealand. But analysing the upcoming Saturday game, you've got to say that everything points to an emphatic double-digit victory for the Boks for me.
Why is there this apprehension among South Africans?
I think it's just inbuilt in our psyche. We love to be the underdogs. We are terrified of ever saying, I'm going to throw this dart and hit the bullseye, because there's a chance that when we throw it and miss, we have to deal with the scorn.
Right.
We can't live with that idea. It's bizarre.
1998, I got married. On that day...
Anybody got a pack of cigarettes?
1998. That was the day that Springboks played Wales at Loftus, and the guests at the wedding were, and I did supply a TV because I know how important it is for me and the South Africans to watch. In that year, the South Africans were going, I don't know, man. Wales are pretty tough. Oh, what was the score of that game?
96-30. And then they were pissed off they didn't get 100.
Yeah. So even then, you're right, it's built into the South African psyche.
Yeah.
South Africans hate to be favourites against New Zealand. And, you know, hopefully things are cyclical as well. And this is it's just that New Zealand doesn't have the quality of players right now that South Africa does. Or France, or Ireland, or England, you know, and that'll change.
If you go back to Super Rugby when the Bulls had that fantastic side for 3 years, they just weren't good enough to win. They were good enough to score 2 or 3 great tries, but they didn't have the collective Crusaders mentality of previous Crusaders sides, which this one now has. It's the same with these All Blacks. The same with this All Black team is, and it changes quickly. It needs 2 or 3 variations.
Exactly.
One kid comes through next year, and all of a sudden, and a new coach, and they're top 3 team in the world again. 1970, they came here as world champions. They lost the series 3-1. In the amateur area, they have been struggling All Black teams.
Yeah.
The 1998 team came here and they got beaten. The 2009 team came here and they got beaten. But the average score over 9 tests between 2011 and 2015 was still 27-18 between the two sides.
Yeah.
So we were still competitive against their greatest side. But when I look at the Boks now, we don't put teams away. So we beat England 32-12. For the rest, we win by 8, we win by 10, we win by 11.
And the thing there, Mark, is that for the first time in the history of professional rugby, New Zealand come here to face a South African national team that they haven't been playing in Super Rugby. This is us out of the URC champions, them having played some basketball there in the Pacific Super Rugby. We're going to find out something new about rugby this weekend, I feel like.
That's a good point.
Well, you know, after the Maoris won the first game and then the All Blacks won the first game with 15 brilliant moments. You know, to quote Curly from the City Slickers, when Billy Crystal asked him if he killed anyone that day, and he said, the day's not over yet. Well, the series wasn't over yet, and we saw kind of what happened as Ireland got more comfortable. They grew stronger in the series. And we're emphatic in the last 3 games. I mean, they beat the Maoris in Wellington comfortably, and comfortably won the last 2 test matches. And South Africans should be looking at those test matches, the one in Dublin, the one in Paris, but most importantly, the last 40 minutes in Brisbane, where we actually played our quality against theirs and decimated them. Their pack was falling apart, and we came back, and yes, it took a last-minute penalty from Elton Yankees, but it should never have been that close. Because they're wearing a black jersey doesn't give them the grace to avoid a beating, and I just hope that we can put in that performance that shows the quality difference between the two sides at the moment.
Yeah, I fully agree. Thanks for that, Mark and Z. Sure. Let's get into a prediction. Mark, I'll start with you. Give us a score prediction.
Well, despite all of this, I don't think we're going to put them away emphatically. The highest ever score is 17 points differential. I think the way they play will allow, they will score tries. It will be fast-paced. So I'm giving it to the Boks by 8 points, but God, I would love to have been able to say 18.
Yeah, so I called him by 8 points,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's the minimum. Like anything less than 8 points for me will be a disappointing result for South Africa, even though I know wins against the All Blacks are to be celebrated. Yeah. If they can do double digits, if we go, 10, 12 points, I think that's mission accomplished.
Yeah, look, that's So you guys are playing it safe. For me, I look at. They've got the wrong coach. I think the team's given up playing for that guy, and the fact that they've got 9 changes, like you say, proves everything. He's getting it wrong. I don't know how he gets to the right address when he leaves the stadium. You've got a team that's just not good enough. I can't see anything but a beating on the cards for New Zealand.
1 point. Boks by 1.
31-30.
The black jersey factor might come into it in terms of this legacy thing, and the boogie monster wearing black. But other than that, I see a 14-point win for the Springboks. And if they weren't wearing the black jersey, it'd be over 20.
All right.
What's the points total of that game?
I'm going 31-17 for the Boks.
Just under 50.
Just under 50.
Yeah.
When have you ever heard an All Black
Exactly.
Split a series.
a split a series coming to go, doesn't matter where they went, they were like, we go there to win all on tour, we go there to win 2 in South Africa, to say this will be a success story if they come away from here one from 2.
I bet there's a lot of All Black fans, like me as a Welshman. I don't like our coaching setup. I bet a lot of them want them to lose both games so they can get a new coach. Because if they Boks a win here, he's staying, and the chances of winning the World Cup just go down a little bit more. But if they lose both games here, there is a chance that they may look at bringing in a new coach, because that would then be the 7 out of 8 or 6 out of 7 losses.
Yeah, it would be
2 out of 8 against the top teams in their last 8 matches. And Schmidt would be where they would go to, because he's been there, he's done it with Ireland.
And he's
built
there
things.
already.
And then he would do an ambulance job till 2023, and they would probably try and convince Razor to stay to take over, and Schmidt because he doesn't want to, he said with his family commitments, he doesn't want to be full-time over the next 4 or 5 year period. Rassie put up an interesting thing on Twitter the other day where some arb asked him, like, how can you guys have trepidation against the shambles of a New Zealand side and that? And he showed when after they won the 2019 World Cup, and he was interviewed at the function, and he said, it feels great to be standing here tonight. He said, but we need the consistency of those guys, and they pointed to Hansen and the All Blacks. He said, can we stay number 1 in the world between World Cups? Can we win more games, like in the 80% plus? He says, that's the challenge. And unfortunately, we haven't done that yet. We've won a series against the Lions in extraordinary circumstances, and we won a series against Wales, but we won 8 out of 13 test matches.
Yeah.
And that World Champions side should be on in 11 out of 13. They shouldn't have gone to Australia and lost 2 in a row.
Spot on.
They shouldn't have lost 1 against New Zealand, and they certainly shouldn't have lost to England at Twickenham. So what's there to play for this World Cup winning side? Consistency and an emphatic win. And if they don't emphatically beat New Zealand, the questions have to be, is that the best we've seen of them? 2019 and an incredible series win, and let's park them, and no, we need something new for the World Cup, because then maybe they have reached their peak. Because we can't keep on excusing the every second week poor performance based on, but they won the World Cup and they won the Lions series. We really have to start looking a little bit ahead and not in the rearview mirror.
But that's the great thing about the URC now, is that there are no more comfort zones left in the Boks side, because there's a lot of pressure from a lot of youngsters who want an opportunity to play test rugby. There is nowhere to rest. So these guys, they must perform.
Well, let's hope that they do, and they did win the World Cup.
And the Lions series and the Welsh series.
Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Click the like button and subscribe, and you'll get some more of this. I don't know what kind of content it is.
And keep on going on his page. You always get cash giveaways. Plenty giveaways.
Thanks, Kev.